So why teams? We always like to start these webinars and explain the why first. We're not just going to dive in and show you a whole bunch of shiny objects and stuff like that. We want to start off and talk about, okay, why teams? What's the purpose of investing in teams? And I'll tell a little bit of a, start with a little bit of a story. Back in 1959, there was an interesting little device that came out. It was the Xerox 914. And so what this device that you're seeing on your screen, it's the first successful commercial plain paper copier, and it revolutionized offices. Back then, people would manually write out, and when they wanted to make a copy, they'd have somebody manually write out a copy onto a different piece of paper. And so when this device came out, and when Xerox kind of commercialized plain paper copying, there were a bunch of people that said, why do we need that? I got somebody in the back that can just copy my document and write out a new one and stuff like that. And today it would be crazy if we had people doing manual.
Can you imagine? We had one extra person for every copy that we needed. What if we needed something in triplicate? Do we get 3 people, or do we have one person do it 3 times? Like, you know, what do we do on that front?
But so, we're faced with another moment here. Another moment in sort of evolution in terms of how we use technology, that we all have extra people because we're not using technology as efficiently as we could be. Absolutely. So the goal here, we've talked about it in a bunch of our webinars, is save 4 hours a week per employee. Every 10 people, save a person. And the way we do that, and this is from a Forrester study, 100 minutes from better information sharing, over 2 hours from improved tools and information, and you save 24 minutes a week. These are our weekly numbers from better remote access or getting rid of VPN, right? We're going to look back on this period and say, okay, once we've gotten used to working differently, it's going to be like the photocopier.
Yeah. How did we ever do it in the past?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we're going to show you today, we got 5 different sections that we're going to go through, and we're going to show you how you can use Teams to save 4 hours, could be even more than 4 hours per employee a week, and we're going to walk you through that. Jermaine, why don't you, do you want to dive in a little bit here?
Absolutely. What I'm going to talk about here is best practices for effective teams. And in this section, what I'm going to cover is one of the most important things that we want to do is, of course, a live demo. Why not? Because webinars go great when you do live demos. With that in mind, though, what I want to go through here is, and we covered a little bit of it in the original setup, we're going to look at setting up a new project team, managing user access, because again, this is something that's a little bit deeper than the 101 section. And then we're going to do a little bit of a review on tasks by planner. Because again, without investing in a whole lot in your day and time, we want to be able to do things more efficiently and save that 4 hours a week. So if you'll permit me, let me go back. If you'll permit me here, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to change the slideshow here, and I'm going to bring up my demo panel. And in my demo panel, what we're going to look at here quite briefly is I'm going to start out by going to my Teams section. Under my Teams, again, the fun part of this is I want to join or create a team. And the quick way to do it is by having already something that's in place. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create a team from a group or team that already exists. I'm going to go back and look at all the templates that are here. And again, they've already given you a bunch of these that you can do at any time. So let's say we're going to run one for managing an event. And when we take a look at that, I'm going to go ahead and say, I'm going to add all of these approvals, employee ideas, issue reporting, a OneNote. All of this is already going to be included in that team. And then it's going to be general announcements. It's going to give all of these channels that people can communicate under within the team. Because again, this is an auto-generated template. And then from there, I'm going to say it's a private team because people need to be invited to join. So I'm going to go ahead and type a name in there. Doesn't look like it wants, this one's going to be our live demo. I'm going to go ahead and not give it a description at this time, and I'm going to create that team real quick. So I've gone ahead and used the document that's already generated in a template, created a new team. Once that team populates in 5, 4, 3, 2. It's going to get there. Once that populates, what we're going to take a look at, no, go back. There we go. All right, that's going to give me the spinny finger there on that. Once that's populated, the next step that we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add a couple of members to the team. Okay, now that's taking a while. I'm going to go here and I've already got a team set up that I wanted to show you. And in the team on the demo, I've added a number of tasks and tabs in the bar. And under it, I'm going to go ahead and say, hey, I want to manage the channel, open a team in SharePoint or change notifications. But also on the team itself, I can go ahead and add a member. So I've already got Brendan in here. So I'm going to go ahead and add someone else. And as I type the name, the person populates. I've added them in, but I want to go ahead and add someone external to our company now. So I'm going to go Jermaine.Techify. I've created a Gmail account for this purpose. And I'm going to go ahead and add Jermaine as a guest external to that team and bring them in. All right. Now with that, once that person is in the team now, we've got a number of things within the channel that we're going to look at. And one of the most important, we've added an external team member. They've got access to the team. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to load up Planner. So Planner or Tasks by Planner, super quick, super important. It's already an application that's listed in this team. And once it's in there, I can go in and I can add a number of things. So let's go project 1. I'll add a new bucket for project 2. All right, and we've got a to-do list, a project 1 and a project 2. And under here, I can go ahead and add a task quite simply to Brendan, new reporting. And then I go ahead and set a date. I want this by tomorrow. I'm gonna assign this task to Brendan since he's in here. Okay, I don't need any more people and I've hit add task. Now Brendan's task shows up here. It's been assigned to Brendan. Brendan's gonna see that somewhere else. Now, I wanted to give you a live view of what one of these teams already populated looks like from a planner perspective. So I'm gonna jump over here to this planner team and I wanna be able to show you what all of this looks like because realistically without data in it, it wouldn't look as exciting, right? So in our team, we've got all of these exciting different tasks that are assigned to different people. I can look at it from a charts perspective to see how many of the tasks are assigned, unassigned, or otherwise. How many have been completed? How many of the tasks are late? So I've got 10 things to follow up on. And how many are in progress and not started. So this is really important because at any one point in time, I can go and review this by each type of bucket. So if you consider you have 5 or 6 different projects ongoing, you can have all of those people assigned tasks in each bucket. Okay. And then of course, the last part is you can populate it by schedule. So you can see all the things that people are working on in each week, right? Very important, very quick. And then after this, you can actually go over, once you've done this, you can go in and add tasks from anywhere within it. One of the questions we had pre-webinar was to ask about, well, how do I use Task and Planner effectively? It should work the same in both places, right? We want to make sure that your list actions and your charts and your schedules all feed in, whether you're doing it from the web browser or from here.
So what we're talking about here is really a lot of people struggle. They don't want to do full blown project management, get like a MS project or something like that.
Correct.
It's queued up, but they need to be able to manage the team, right? Manage their team and manage assignments and stuff like that, right?
All right. So actually, Brendan, I think I'll turn over the share screen to you at this point.
Yeah, we got a little feedback that some people, it looks a little blurry when the screen's sharing. So let me just, I'm going to try sharing my screen and we'll see if this is, Zoom teams are both struggling under the weight of how all of us are working these days. So if it's a Zoom thing, obviously we can't do much about it. But if it's an us thing, then hopefully this will fix. So now I want to talk about running more effective meetings. So one of the surefire ways that we can be more effective, we can be more efficient in terms of how we work. So here are a few ideas for you. So I'm going to start with just a couple basic things. So when you're we had 92%, I think, of people are using Teams for meetings based on our initial poll. When you're in a meeting, I think this is kind of basic stuff, but just so everybody knows, up in the top corner here, you can react, you can applaud, you can use smiley faces to share content. You just click the little up arrow, and then you can decide whether you're going to share your screen, share your window, and whether or not you're going to include your computer sound or not when you're doing it. Now, getting a little bit more advanced, there's a capability, and this is our team huddle first thing this morning. And there's a neat capability that they've added to Teams, probably, I don't know, about 6 months or so. It's called breakout rooms. So you can go and you can click that little tab up in the top right corner, and you can create breakout rooms. And we use this quite a bit for our staff meetings. So when we want to do kind of a group of 3 or divide people in half or that sort of thing, and you just go and you click, you can automatically assign, or you can put people into a group. You can add your number of rooms here. In this case, I had 1 room and I just added another room. And then I clicked create. So I put everybody into the 1 room. And then you'll see as we go along in the demo that I've started to move people into a different room. And so depending on the size of your teams, the size of your meetings, if you want to do working groups, it's really, really neat functionality. So now what I'm doing here is I'm looking at my groups, and I'm saying, hey, I want to take a couple people and I want to move them from room 1 and I'm going to put them into room 2. And you can call these rooms whatever you want. You can have the generic, or you can create new names for them. And what you're going to see is you see people come back into the main room where I am. And then if we continued on with the demo, they'd go off into their groups. The other thing you do is make an announcement. If you say you have 10 breakout groups, and what I just did there is just send out an announcement saying thank you. But if you had 10 breakout groups and you wanted to say, hey, you've got 5 more minutes to go, that sort of thing, that's how you would do it.
That's great. And that's all the stuff we're waiting for coming into Teams that you can do already with Zoom, right? So we're that much closer to where we need to go.
Absolutely. So I'm going to go, one other thing that, actually, I got 2 other things for running effective meetings that I thought was really interesting. If you enable it in your Teams, you can put on transcriptions of a meeting in Teams. So like I'm sure a lot of you know you can record meetings, so that's useful. What's even more useful, if you have the transcription running, then you have basically AI taking notes for you. So you don't need to take notes from a meeting. If you need to go refer to them sometime in the future, it'll transcribe, and you can even have captions coming up as you go along and move through your meeting. Something I thought was pretty cool. And then last thing about running effective meetings, as we start to get out of COVID and move to being back in the office, or those that are kind of sometimes in the office, sometimes at home, sometimes on the road, or sometimes need to, take your kid to the doctor or something like that. If you're in a meeting and you have to go, you don't necessarily need to sign off from the meeting. You can join the meeting on your mobile device. You pick up your mobile device, join the meeting, and it'll pop up the screen and say, hey, do you want to transfer the meeting to this device?
Beauty. That's great.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. Seamless. Nobody knows that you've moved to the car from your desk unless
I did that just this morning. I went from my mobile phone, and someone was saying something on my, at the time, and it dropped off halfway of the word there and picked up the other half of the word when I got into Teams. So, I mean, from a seamless perspective, that was actually pretty great.
All right.
Awesome. I would like to talk a little bit about application integrations into Teams. Everything that we've been showing you and working through all relate back to us loading up some form of app that's already existing into Teams. And it'll be really important in the future because there's a difference between loading a link to a service versus having an app, right? I'm going to talk a little bit about that. As we go along, what we want to be able to do here is extend the functionality in Teams. Okay. One of the things that we're going to take a quick look at is Power BI integration, forms, and polls. Now, these three, I chose them specifically because each of them had already had a format where you could link it into Teams and access the actual application through Teams. Whereas now, when we go ahead and we look at, say, example, Power BI, from an overall perspective, you can click on an actual app in Power BI that is a specific report that you're looking at. So on my next slide, you'll see I've got a ticket analysis that was pulled from our entire client base of all tickets we've had in the last 3 months. And based on that, this is actually loaded directly into my Teams. I went into the general tab under demo, and I can see the last 3 months worth of tickets in one click under a ticket analysis report. Exciting, because overall I can see that ticket trend coming down in the last 3 months. We're getting less and less and less and less and less tickets as we go along, right?
And Jermaine, you don't have to go back and forth, bounce between different applications, right? You're right within a team and you're working on a different thing and you just type in the tab at the top.
Exactly. And in the, so as you go to the next slide with the next tab, it shows you the next tab that's in there that says webinar demo, edit. And what I've done is I've done a live form that's sitting in that team already that people can go in and fill out. And when they fill out the form, I can click on there's a question section. I can go and click on the responses section. And in the responses section, it'll show you how many people have responded to it or not. And I still haven't left that single team window. I'm just clicking on the tabs. So you can see there, it says you can also analyze the data within that sheet and move that forward. In the next tab, I've also got queued up polypolls. Now polypolls, again, you can use any one of these that exist in there, but polypolls, very simple. There's a number of pre-generated polls. You can create your own poll templates. And then again, all I'm doing is clicking across the tabs in the top and the application will load itself within Teams. And now I can go ahead and create a new poll and hit send now, adjust it how I need and get responses from that. So applications are boundless. And right now, the last time we had a webinar on Teams a month ago, there was X number of thousands of applications. Since then, they've added another 500 applications that are compatible from an application perspective directly in Teams.
And I think the power of this is if you want to get feedback right from a team, if you're working on a project and you want to get some feedback or you want to get feedback from your broader staff, it doesn't need to be another email. It doesn't need to be another application, or it's just right simple. It'll embed it right within Teams. It'll just post it right there in the channel within your Teams.
Great. That's it for me. Over to you, Brendan.
Thanks. So automating and improving workflow in Teams is one of the great opportunities out there. It's we talked about saving 4 hours a week. Well, you can save 4 hours a week with the basics of Teams, but this is where you can really accelerate and really become more efficient using automation. So I want to just show an example. Show an example here of how you can use Microsoft Approvals. And so the Microsoft Approvals is one of those apps that Jermaine talked about. But we have we all have that pain point of you have documents that need feedback and approval and stuff. So this is an example of how to use Microsoft Approvals. You can do a basic approval or you can e-sign for those documents that you want to get signatures on. So you create it right within your team. You name what the request is. You figure out who needs to approve, right? So I'm going to say, obviously, Jermaine needs to approve, Bobby, Ryan, Adam, and I'm going to put my approvers. And then I'm going to decide whether everybody needs to approve or I just need an approval from one person. And then I'm going to type in a note here. And so what this is intended to do is to take out that email back and forth, to take out the follow-ups, to create a really easy central place where you can approve things. So if you think about your workflow, if you have documents that go back and forth, if you emails, different versions, it's tough getting comments together and stuff like that. And it's frustrating for your company. Here's a way that you can address that, right? So then I go and I just take my document and I'm going to upload it from my computer, and then just put it right within Teams. That's a little bit low resolution. You're probably having trouble seeing the file names, but wanted to show how straightforward it is to take the document and just upload it. Double click on your document, comes in. You can pull it out of OneDrive. You can pull it off of your computer. It's going to upload there. You're going to click send. And then all the people that you've asked for approvals are going to get a notification. It's going to pop up on their computer saying they're waiting for approval. So you see here how it says it's requesting. It's posted right into the general tab of the team, and it lists who we're waiting on a response from. So just to continue on with that, I'm going to show you another scenario here. Or I'm going to show you, sorry, let me go back to, I'm going to show you what happens when you get some feedback. So we have, here's our employment letter. We're waiting for feedback. You can see it's been approved by Ryan, but it's been rejected by Jermaine. Jermaine doesn't like the content that's in here. So I've gotten feedback, and then it shows me a couple people I'm still waiting for feedback on. So we get that approval. It's simple, it's straightforward. And then Jermaine's notes he's put right in the document. So I know why he's rejected it and why he's not comfortable moving forward.
That's pretty great. I mean, considering the iterations of documents that you have when you're looking to finalize something before sending it off, it really helps you if you've got a large team or a leadership team or otherwise like our team with different skill sets. Really makes a great way to have that approval with the information and why you're making that change upfront within one place. And then you can go ahead and make all your changes at that point and send it off to where it needs to go. So.
Yeah, and I don't know about you, but I'm kind of getting sick of all of the emails going back and forth and reply alls and comments and this and sort of weeding through them. So if we can make it much more efficient to gather that information, great. And there's another area that I just wanted to go through about workflow and show an example of a bot. So here's a simple, so there's all sorts of bots that you can add to Teams, and bots are automated programs that'll do things for you. It's basically use AI and show you how to do things. So this is the calendar bot. So I've added the calendar bot, and the pain point that I'm addressing here is trying to schedule a meeting. So if you look, I go in and I'm choosing if I want to have a meeting with Adam. It's going to show me the calendar in those light gray areas when both of us are available. Now, if I want to meet with 5 different people, I have no time, so I got to look at the next week. And then it's giving me a time that everybody is available right away. So there's no emails back and forth. There's no checking individual calendars. You just quickly say, okay, when's everybody available? I find my times right in the calendar there. I can see I've got a few options, and then I can decide which one I'm going to use. So again, there's a few minutes of savings, could be an hour of savings, who knows? So that's how, and just think about, I want everybody to think about the number of different bots that are available. There's hundreds and hundreds of bots, and they're adding all the time, just all sorts of different things. There's customer service capabilities you can add within there. I've just used a scheduling example, but the world, like the opportunity here is really quite amazing.
That is great. That is great. You know, if you're someone who's scheduling people all day, I mean, it's a really great way to do it, right? Okay, great. My favorite discussion, because I really hate having a phone on my desk, and I'd love to be able to talk a little bit about Teams as your phone system. This one's near and dear to my heart because a few years back, Techify had a phone system that you couldn't get support on or do anything within the same day scenario. And it irritated us so much that we had to, and of course, all of our clients, that we had to figure out a new way to do this. And then, ta-da, we ended up with Microsoft Teams as our phone system.
Now we deal with one less telecom.
Correct. One less telecom, and our entire team internally supports the system for us. So it's great. Okay, so we're going to dive into it, and we're going to talk a little bit about the Teams voice system, how it's set up, why it's set up the way it's set up and what's different versus every other VoIP or other phone system that's out there. One of the things that we want to make sure we address here is that Teams as a phone system functions on every smart device that you have in your portfolio today, including if you still want to have that desk phone that you can pick up, punch some numbers in and dial. There's a number of desk phone options that exist out there if you still really want to have that nice look and feel of a physical phone on your desk. But you can work on your computer, your mobile phone, the actual phone setup, a tablet, anything that supports a Windows operating system, which is great. So now if you're thinking about that and you want to move that into what the desktop application itself looks like, what we would have here is the panel straight out of your Teams front end view. Again, all I've gone ahead and done is click on the phone button on the left in the middle there. The mouse is circling around. I've gone in and I can see my dashboard panel where I can dial a number. I've got 3 people on speed dial there. So I call them quite often. I can just double click the person and move into the phone call. And as I go through, one of the things that I want to be able to have is the same look and feel across all of my devices. So whether or not I'm on a computer or a tablet or in the web browser or on my Teams application on the desktop, it all looks the same everywhere. So there's no confusion around dialing or any of that. In 101, we covered a little bit under Teams, what the dial pad looks like, how to get to the dial pad and the like. But in this one specifically, we want to talk a little bit about call reporting as well. So when we look at it, the whole purpose of us having that phone system integrated into our Teams is that we can see how many phone calls we've received, how many people have dialed in, how many people have dialed out, who's answering or making phone calls. And again, this is all external to the network, not us calling internally at Teams, right?
And it's not an extra, just to emphasize, I'm probably saying the same thing over again, but you remove another application that your staff are using. Right? Yeah. It's another thing that's integrated. It's unified with your workflow.
Remove the phone contract, remove the need for external support, annual renewals, any of that. System works the same as your Microsoft licensing month to month.
Do you want to do a little demo for us?
I think so. This one, Business Voice, I wanted to show you on mobile because it just illustrates the fact that whether or not you don't have to buy a second company phone or any of that. Now you'll have to excuse me. I did a really early morning voiceover on this one. So let's hope it comes across clear. Brendan, if you please.
Using Microsoft Teams calling on the go is easy. The Teams mobile app has many of the same robust features included in the desktop app, including access to contacts, call history, and voicemail. With a compatible calling plan, you can make and receive calls using Microsoft Teams from any number in the world. And adding additional participants to a call is simple. Tap the participants icon to search for a contact or simply enter a mobile number. With Microsoft Teams on mobile, you can be productive anywhere. Start calls faster and always get clear audio with Microsoft Teams calling, backed by Microsoft 365. Using Microsoft.
Thanks for that. So again, the phone system itself is integrated. It would be set up the same. What's different and what's changed? It'll be set up the same as any VoIP system that you have currently or otherwise. It'll be only in your Microsoft tenant through your portal. So it'll have access across all of your users' devices. And then no more extra phones, no more extra mobile phones for the company. The licensing's month to month. So if you change user numbers, line numbers, or any of that, all of that stays within that same platform. And it's a few clicks and changes that are required to propagate and make it possible. So I'll leave it there for now. I'm happy to have anybody call me about more Teams phone. Again, when you dial me, you'll be calling me on my Teams phone. So
you can test out that quality of that Teams phone connection. So we're just a little bit over time, but I've got a little bonus round that we're just going to run quickly, just because I want everybody to take some tidbits, some interesting things out of here. So we're going to play Did You Know? So Jermaine, did you know that you can actually have Teams translate a message in another language?
What?
So
Why'd I waste all this time learning another language?
yeah, so if English is not your first language and you want to translate English to Spanish, you can just go within the message and you can click translate, and you just click this little translate button.
I'm gonna look so smart when I talk to people in German and otherwise.
Yeah, you'd be talking to people all over the world, and you can provide multilingual support without actually understanding the language. It's pretty neat. Power of AI. Did you know you can email to a team, to a channel? So if you're working with a bunch of external folks and you have a project team and you set up that project team, you just go into that project team, hit the little ellipses, click get an email address, and then you can get an email address that people can email right into that team. So even if they're not within your team in Microsoft Teams, those emails can get captured as part of the project.
And that's a specific email created for that team, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely.
You're not adding 18 email addresses. You're just emailing the one.
Nope. Just one, and it's going into the post instead of going into people's email.
Fantastic.
Okay. And one more, did you know? We're trying to get our teams to adopt Teams, our staff to work in Teams. So did you know you can get usage reporting of how your team are using Teams and other Microsoft 365 products? So we can walk through it with you and show you the effectiveness of how many people are using Teams, how they're using it. Are they using it the way that it's designed as efficiently as they can? That sort of thing. You get that data, you know how your team is progressing. It's sort of like that Xerox photocopier. You can figure out how many copies are being used and how many people are manually copying a document.
That's great.
All right. I think what we need to do is we are coming to the end of our webinar. We're going to go into our Q&A section. So if anybody has questions, I see a bunch have popped up already. Please put them into that Q&A panel. While we're starting to answer these questions, it'd be great to get feedback. Want to get feedback from folks on, did you find this is valuable? What did you find valuable? You can email marketing@techify.ca with suggestions for us, ideas based on what we went through today. One other quick reminder before we move on to questions. Our next webinar, June the 16th at 1 p.m., Cybersecurity 101, how to avoid your staff getting phished, whaled, and hacked. We've seen a huge proliferation of cyber attacks over the last year. It's getting worse and worse. So we want to go through a bunch of stuff and show people how to protect themselves. As always, if you're one of our clients, please reach out to Jermaine and his consulting team to help you as you further adopt Teams and more into the Microsoft Cloud. If you are not currently one of our clients and you would like to learn more about how our intelligent technology best practices enable adoption of the modern workplace and these newer technologies, please feel free to reach out to me. All right.
Awesome.
Now it's time for questions.
We got lots of questions in there. Why don't you go ahead and throw one out? Okay,
so let's start with, I've got a question. Is the approval section only applicable to internal people, i.e. staff? My understanding, the way that this works, and it's continuing, Microsoft continues to evolve, but if people are in a team, you get access to that team, right?
Yeah.
So if you've built out a team with internal and external folks and they're all within your team and Teams, and you post an approval and you add people, you should be able to have both internal and external folks.
Yeah.
Okay, we have another question about I think approvals. Approvals is quite popular. So Jermaine, we have a question, and I'm not sure if we know the answer to this question. Can you modify the chain of approvals? I.e., Bob needs to approve before Jermaine reviews, and approves?
That one we'll have to look into. I do know that it's possible with a second application that some of our clients use, Adobe Sign. But Adobe Sign is a paid application where approvals is available in your teams. So that's one we can send an answer out later on once we're able to figure that out with the support on approvals.
Yeah, that's a good example. So Adobe Sign, again, and Lewis made a comment on this. We went over a lot of these features pretty quick, right? We designed these webinars to be kind of quick hit. Here's what's available to you, and we can help walk folks through that want to look at this, or you can dive into it on your own. But Adobe Sign, great if you're getting signatures from different people on a document, approvals, basic. But as they continue, like the point that I would add to this too, and then we can go on to the next question. But Jermaine and I both get these weekly emails about Microsoft development.
It's coming up.
And they're like, they go on for pages and pages and pages. So like every week, if I said this week, no, you can't queue up a different order of approvals, next week we might be able to queue it up.
Yeah, things changing really fast, and that's a great point. Again, when we did it originally, we didn't see tiers, but in a couple of weeks, or we might even make the feature request to approvals to ask them to update that portion of it in the app.
All right, Jermaine, here's your favorite question. You went very fast over the features. Is this session recorded? Can we review the recording?
Absolutely, yes. We just go to techify.ca/webinars, and all of our previous webinars are there that anybody can review time and time again. And you can even play it at half speed if you want to like sit down and just kind of watch it go through very slowly. There's that option. Second option is, you can always shoot us an email and we could set up a one-on-one at some point for our clients out there. You can just send us an email and we could set you up with a one-on-one and go through in detail at whatever pace you like. So two really good answers, I think, to that one.
Cool. And some of the webinars that are on there, SharePoint, we've got productivity webinars, collaboration webinars. There's tons of really cool stuff up there. All right, next question. Does the translate feature work with your Outlook emails?
Absolutely, yes. There's a specific button in the Outlook application on your desktop to translate something. If you're in Outlook Web, it's automatic translation in there if you pick the language you want to see.
Nice.
Yes.
That was a quick answer, Jermaine.
I'll slow it down in the next one. Cognizant of everybody's time. So.
All right, I love it. We've got a bunch more questions, so we'll keep going through them. Alexei's got a question on thoughts on lots of teams versus lots of channels. Do you want to take that one?
Yeah, please. So you should only have a small number of teams. Reason being is because lots of people on the same team, or the general baseline of people that are required for a team to do any type of project X, you would want to have in a single team. So you're going to always have the recommendations to always have less teams. And in each team, those people that are common to every channel in that team would be the people that are in the team core. And then you create all the channels. The channels would be your projects or your specific work orders or anything that you put in. So small amount of teams, more channels. That's the recommended way.
Reduces clutter. Like when you're in your view, you can hide a team, you can collapse the different channels and stuff like that. The more teams you have, the more it sort of clutters things up. But it's also a personal preference. Like Microsoft's designed teams to be able to adapt to workflow. It's not like your conventional applications like Word and Excel and stuff like that. They're built to do things a certain way. Correct. You do a mail merge this way. You create a document this way. Teams, you've got a whole bunch of different ways to use it, right? And you can really adapt it to your workflow.
Yeah, that's great.
All right. I'm going to put you on the spot now, Jermaine. Okay. The last demonstration, adding an email address. Can you demonstrate it again? So I believe that question is adding an external email address to a team. Do you want to just spin up a quick demo of that again?
Absolutely. I'll go ahead and share my screen. We can do that. We can do that right away. I would like to have screen 2 in there. I'm going to go ahead and share that. Okay. So I'm back in here again. I have my demo team set up right here. I click on the ellipses under the demo team, and I go down to add member. When I go to add the member and I click on that, it gives me the option to type a name of the user that I'd like to add to that demo group. And I type the person's email address. So mine is popped up already, but if the email address isn't in there, you just type it in its entirety. You click on it and you hit add. And it's the same whether it's an internal person or external person. The difference being is that the internal person's name will always pop up quite quickly. Whereas if the external person's never been in a team in your organization, you'll need to add their entire email address. And that's it. Ellipses, add member, type the email address out, hit add.
All right, and next question was about the recording as well. And then we have one other live demo question. Could you cover how to bring a file into a meeting from SharePoint that allows multiple people to update it live? So I think there's a few ways to do this. So I think the question is, if we're having a meeting and we all want to look at the same application and we want to update it and make changes and stuff like that, how do we do that?
All right. Okay. So with that, I'll go ahead and do the screen share again. Just keep the screen share going live here.
Yeah, Jermaine, you thought your live demos were over, and anybody that's done live demos before would recognize that there's a certain challenge with doing live demos, and so we're pushing Jermaine on this one, but it's
pushing it. So as an example, let's go to the meeting that Brendan created yesterday. The meeting in here, Bren, we were in the meeting this morning, yesterday, and we were recording the breakout sessions for the rooms. In the meeting, because this meeting still exists, you can always go in here and add a tab, or you can click directly on the files tab that already exists, right? And in here, once the file tab is in here, you can just go in here and say, okay, I want to upload a file either from my OneDrive or my computer. I'm going to pick my computer and I'll go to my pictures. Here's our team picture. I'm going to add that team picture by double clicking on it. So all I did was hit the share button. I hit the upload from my computer button and I picked the location. And based on that, this could have been a Word file or anything. Okay. If I went into notebooks or otherwise, I can click a quick installation guide here. And now that I've double clicked that, you can see that it's popped up here, and everyone in the meeting under this chat now has a notification that a file has been uploaded. And then they can go ahead and open the file just by clicking on it. And if it's a Word document, then you can go ahead and do that and edit the document itself. Or in this particular case, it's a screenshot of our team. And if you want to draw some pictures on people's faces, you can do it there.
I've just, it might take a minute for it to show up, but so I've just uploaded a Word document to that chat.
Oh, perfect.
So if you click into just click right into that Word document on the chat. And so if we're on this meeting, you can click in, and both of us could be on this meeting. I don't think I put anything confidential in here. This is our templated employment contract. So Jermaine can be putting his edits in. I could go in as we're on it. And so what you'll do is you'll see on down editing beside duties here. And it will pop up. Yeah, there we go. So you can see we're both editing at the same time. And then we've got a couple other people in here as well.
People in here.
Yeah, so we should probably just watch how much security. This is obviously a channel that's open to everybody. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and delete this document.
Well, yeah, one important thing to note there as well as I stop the screen share is that even though the document that you just added, you added it to a new team, we could actually see other people who are currently not in that team doing anything on the document, editing the document, because it's the exact document that someone else is editing from wherever they're retrieving it in SharePoint or otherwise. Okay?
So that's another good note. And I'm laughing at this because I saw a couple of our staff start to look at that document. You have to be careful where you upload documents based on the permissions. So you can see if we went back to the chat in the top right corner, you would see a list of 14 people who have access to that chat. So maybe not the best place to post that kind of document, but everybody's seen our employment letter, so I don't think it's really that big of an issue.
Absolutely.
All right. So I'm just going to take a quick peek at our questions. So that I believe we have now answered every question that we have. So it's 10 to 2. I think this is a good place to stop. It was great. I see we have over 80% of the folks that joined are still on. Thank you for joining our webinar. I hope you found it valuable and useful. Thank you for giving your feedback. Jermaine and I look through this feedback, look through ratings and that sort of thing. And then every month we're looking for ways to make these webinars better, more valuable, higher impact, all that sort of thing.
Great. Awesome. This has been great. Thank you everyone for sticking around. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Jermaine. Have a great day, everybody.
Bye.